Chapter 25. Shortly before a full year had gone by, the date was September 16th, the much-anticipated wedding day. Aalliyah had barely managed any sleep at all for various reasons. One reason was that Jeramie had left last night to spend the night at Nate's to avoid seeing his bride on the wedding day, and it was hard for Aalliyah not having Jeramie beside her. Another reason she barely slept was she was too excited. The two had chosen this Monday to get married because 10 years ago, September 16th, was the day they first met, and the day the star of love declared they were destined. She decided to get up, but only made it as far as sitting up. Finally, she found it inside herself to rise to her feet and begin the day. Aalliyah paused, seeing the golden earrings lying on her dresser. For a long moment she stared at them. Images of her adopted mother, Aalliyah, flashed across her mind. She saw her wearing those same earrings and smiling as she floated around the room, her bare feet barely touching the floor. Then Henry would swing her into his arms and kiss her. Aalliyah remembered as a little girl hoping to find a relationship as love-filled as theirs, and now here she was about to marry her fairy tale prince. Across her mind, she reflected on the dreams she had about her future wedding and what it would be like. In all of her hopes, she never imagined she would face the day with her biological parents at her side and the two people that raised her absent. The thoughts crashed over and over and over again inside her head, practically drowning her, so she sat on the edge of her bed. A knock came from the door, startling her. Aalliyah didn't have the strength, though, to get up and open it. Besides, she knew who it was. "My darling, it is I. May I come in?" called Lisa, her biological mother. Aalliyah knew if she didn't answer, Lisa would enter the home on her own, and she did. "You better not still be in bed, my dear." As she said that, she saw her daughter and hurried over. Streams of tears were pouring down her cheeks and suffocating her. "My darling, whatever is the matter?" sought Lisa, sitting down beside Aalliyah and wrapping her arm around her. "You aren't getting cold feet, are you?" "No, it's not that," she finally answered. "I just wish my adoptive parents could be here today. They never even met Jeramie. I miss them." "Come, my dear, rise from this bed and come over to the window." At first Aalliyah resisted, but then gave in. Her mother opened the window and put Aalliyah's arm outside. She then felt a strong hand slip into hers. "Jeramie," she cried happily, recognizing his touch. He heard her sniffle and question, "My love, are you crying?" "Yes," she admitted. He pulled her hand higher and kissed the inside of her palm. Then he folded her fingers in and kissed them. "Today you and I face the same pain. We both wish more than anything our parents could be here to celebrate this beautiful moment. But they are here in spirit. We are not alone. Olivia, Henry, and my parents will be there. You know they will be sitting in the seats we saved for them in the front row, even if we can't see them. Just like us right now. We can't see each other, but we can feel each other are there." He kissed the inside of her palm again. "I love you, and I will see you later. Right now, you need to get ready." "I love you too." Aalliyah pulled herself together so Lisa could begin getting her ready. First, Lisa sat curling every strand of her flame gold hair. Then Lisa helped her daughter into a A-line gown. The sleeves were off the shoulder and hung down in a large drape and were made of lace. Lining the collar of the dress was a layer of frill to hold the lace to the rest of the gown. The bodice of the gown was covered in beads and shone in the light. The skirt had a thin layer of lace overlapping the silk material and had a floral print on it. Aalliyah added a golden chain red heart necklace, which stopped just above where the frill started. The necklace had been a gift Jeramie had given her once. She then put on Olivia's earrings, as that was her way of having her adopted mother with her on her special day. Then she slipped on her flat white shoes that had a red rose on top. Lastly, Lisa went to help put on the veil. The veil was a sheer lace with a base decorated in the same flower design as the skirt of the gown. The veil had a lilac flower crown at the top to pin it on as a horizontal headband. Careful, Lisa set the flower crown upon her daughter's head, and the two gazed into the body-length mirror. She was ready. Lisa made sure they weren't too early and the time was just right. Then she and Aalliyah headed outside, where Melody and another horse waited with a carriage. The two horses had strings of flowers in their manes, and the carriage rails were also wrapped in flowers. Aalliyah and Jeramie had agreed they wanted their wedding to honor as much of nature as it could. Lisa and Aalliyah climbed into the open-top carriage and rode off towards the preserve, where the wedding would take place. They rode around to the back of the building where the animal sanctuary was. A person stood by the gate and opened it for the carriage. On they rode until they came to the center where a few trees were starting to turn for autumn. Aalliyah could see the chairs set up for the grassy field and the animals gathered around the cluster of people. She noticed Jeramie standing by the flower arch and Nate beside him. Lisa hopped out of the carriage and held out her hand to her daughter. Aalliyah took it and walked towards the aisle, which was marked by the flower petals. Lisa hurried down to take her seat while James, Aalliyah's father, took her arm, and the two started the walk down. As they walked, Aalliyah noticed her librarian friends, animal friends, and a few others. Lucy was sitting in the second row with her little Colin beside her. Aalliyah paused when she saw the 4 empty seats in the first row. On each of the 4 chairs was a photograph of the one chair that was intended for. Tears threatened to fall. James kissed her cheek to get her mind off of it. She took a deep breath and turned her attention to Jeramie, who eagerly awaited her. She felt her father's arm trickle away from her, and she felt Jeramie's fingers wind around hers. Breathlessly, she stared into his dreamy eyes. All of her life she had dreamed of this fairy tale moment, and now here it was. A few minutes later, the two joined as one, and the animals and human guests waited silently for the 2 lovers to seal it. Jeramie gazed into Aalliyah's starry eyes and ran his hand down her cheek to be tender, but also to keep the audience waiting on the edge of their seats. Finally, he leaned in and kissed her lips. And unlike the once under the mistletoe before they were together, he didn't hold back. The animals chimed in their sounds of echo to echo the human applause. 11 months later, Aalliyah was up early for once, before Jeramie. She went to the bathroom and sat on the floor in tears. She cried for nearly 45 minutes, but then finally had the courage to stand up. She glanced in the bedroom and saw Jeramie was still asleep, so she placed herself on the couch. She curled her legs up and turned the TV on, making sure to put the volume way down. A little later, Jeramie awoke and came into the living room. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. Softly he sought, "Are you okay?" She informed, "Yeah, it was a rough morning. I'm here if you want to talk." "I will, but not at this moment. I will cry again if I speak of it right now. I need a bit of more time first." "All right. Would you like me to stay here instead of going to the preserve today?" She shook her head. "Let me know if you need anything." "I will." After eating breakfast, the two walked to the preserve. Jeramie watched his wife closely. Her smile was absent, and she went about doing the tasks absent-mindedly. Instead of talking to the animals, she remained silent. Jeramie went over to her and affectionately rubbed her back, but she hardly reacted. At lunch, she was still moping about. Jeramie placed his hand on top of hers, and she met his eyes. "Honey, I know you are hurting. I can't help you if you don't tell me what's going on," he encouraged. She sighed. "I'll talk, but you have to listen to everything first before reacting." "You have my word. I'm listening." "I'm with child, and I'm so scared." Tears broke free as she continued. "All I can think about is my angel. I'm terrified I will lose this little one too." "Oh, my darling," he replied softly with sorrow shining in his eyes. He got up and sat next to her, folding her into his arms. "It's going to be all right. Remember, I believe everything happens for a reason, and when it's supposed to. You lost the first one because Nate was cheating and would not have been the perfect family you had envisioned. We are together now and have everything you could ever dream of. Regardless, I'm staying by your side, and we will face any challenges head-on, hand in hand. You are not alone." Aalliyah relaxed as time went on, and she made it past the month she had lost her first baby. Jeramie and Aalliyah planned Nate's old room would become the nursery and later their child's room. Nate and Lucy, of course, chimed in, giving the two advice from what they learned with Colin in his earliest days. The two took their advice, but had their own ideas of what they wanted to do and how they would do so. In May, Jeramie and Aalliyah welcomed their daughter. Her hair was a dark auburn like Jeramie's, and her eyes a sapphire blue like Aalliyah's. There was no debate in naming the little one. Olivia Rose Lisa. She was named after Aalliyah's adoptive parents and her biological mother. Rose was, of course, both Aalliyah's middle name and Jeramie's mother's name, so it was honoring the two of them. The baby was born in the home as the two naturalists would have it no other way than with herbs being the only needed medication. Aalliyah leaned down and kissed her daughter's forehead as Jeramie continued rubbing her back affectionately. She met his eyes and declared before kissing him, "Our story truly was as told by the stars." End note. In the scene where Aalliyah got bitten by a snake, here is what is true. As soon as someone is bitten by a snake, take a pen or a marker and circle the bite mark. Write the time it happened right next to it. Check the skin and see where the venom or rash is spreading. Draw a line at the spot and write the time. This does help medics determine how severe a snake bite is. For more reading adventures with Maggie, subscribe below. Thanks for listening!